It looks like Arsenal's hunt for a new sporting director is coming towards the end, as Arsenal are in advanced talks to appoint former Atletico Madrid director Andrea Berta. As we know, many names have been mentioned for a possible replacement for Edu Gaspar, the likes of Roberto Liarbi from La Sociedad. But news came out saying I think he was happy. He wanted to stay more in Spain and with his family, which is obviously fair enough. The likes of Dan Ashworth were mentioned as well. But I think with a track record, obviously, I think this guy wanted Gareth Southgate as well, didn't he, as Man United manager? Probably wasn't going to be the best idea, even though he's at Newcastle and Brighton, has some spells there, but maybe not the right fit for Arsenal. And the Monaco director was also mentioned. The one I mentioned myself, which was for me thinking, could we show a bit of ambition and go big for someone like Luis Campos? So of course, if you guys watch my video on that, you'd understand what and why I said that. But it looks like Andrea Berta from Atletico Madrid is going to be the guy that will replace Edu Gaspar as sporting director of Arsenal Football Club. So, should we be excited by this type of deal? Well, Andrea Berta spent around 12 years at Atletico Madrid. I think he's joined there around 2013 season. As we know, Atletico have been very successful in that period of time. Over this past sort of decade, they've won many trophies, as we know. A few La Ligas, Copa del Reyes, European trophies, in specific Europa League, reaching Champions League finals, winning the Super Cups as well. So he's been a big part of that and a big reason why they've been so successful. They've always been a top club that's been competing with two of the best clubs in the world in Barcelona and Real Madrid, and always been up there competing. Obviously, this season as well, they've been fantastic. He's also had to work with a very egotistical character in Diego Simeone, a very, very talented manager, an elite level manager in my opinion. But they have both developed a very, very non-sustainable Atletico Madrid team that have been competing for many, many years. I think we'll continue to do so as well. And that's full credit to this guy and, of course, working with Simeone himself. There's been some deals that he's got right. There's been some deals that he's got wrong as well, I think. If we start with the deals where it can be questionable, but I think there is maybe a bit of reasoning behind it. One of the biggest signings for Atletico Madrid, as we know, was the Joao Felix situation and the Joao Felix deal. Now, at the time, Joao Felix came on from Benfica. Look at the money they paid for him. It's a lot of money. But when you look at in that situation, there's many that everyone wanted Joao Felix. Everyone was saying this kid was a big wonder kid, and Atletico snapped him up after many big clubs were in for him. I think the biggest clubs in the world, Real Madrid, Barca, all wanted Joao Felix, and Atletico got in ahead of them, but they had to pay their money for it, and they paid the price for it because it never worked out. Completely, a flop of a transfer, wasn't it, in the end? And that is where you may look at and saying that with that amount of money, that's where it can backfire. Another example of this was obviously Thomas Lemar as well. But at that same time, I think even Arsenal were looking at him, Thomas Lemar. We was going to offer them like 80 million, wasn't it? At the time at Monaco, another fantastic player that burst onto the scene at Monaco. And Atletico sort of went for the panic and got him in the end. Again, over many other clubs, to be fair. That one has also, I think Lemar still plays them right now, in fact, but it's not really worked as how they expected it when you pay that amount of money as well. But Andrea Berta has made some fantastic deals as well. I mean, let's not forget about the whole Griezmann situation at Atletico Madrid. Made Griezmann and also brought him back as well, if you guys remember. A more older version, but a more experienced Griezmann. He brought him back to Atletico Madrid as well. Let's not forget about Jan Oblak as well, who Berta signed from Benfica for around 13 million. He's now been Atletico's number one for so many years now. What a goalkeeper he is as well. This is the same guy that signed Rodri as well to Atletico Madrid. And as we know, Rodri now is Ballon d'Or winner, the best midfielder in the world, arguably as well. What I really noticed with Berta as well is he loves players with a bit of experience as well. And he's willing to pay the money for the experienced players. I mean, let's not also forget when Luis Suarez played that couple seasons at Atletico Madrid. After his time at Barcelona, he came, he played a few seasons at Atletico as well. Quite a weird signing, but at the time, he had that experience in there as well. I spoke about earlier with Antoine Griezmann. Griezmann's a bit more older, a bit more, went to obviously Barcelona as we know, but then came back to Atletico. And, this is what I've noticed when you look at someone like Berta is he pays for the big experienced players. So this could be a big thing when he comes to Arsenal, is he will be looking to spend money. And I think he's also proved that he's not afraid to spend money. That's been very, very obvious with the Joao Felixes, with the Thomas Lamars. Look how much money he spent there as well. So if there's a player that we really want to go and get, he's also shown that he has the ambition and the ruthlessness to go and get these players over other clubs as well, which really, that's the thing that for me that really excites me is, you know, as I mentioned with the other examples, yes, they backfired, which, you know, is something that is a bit of a negative side of thing. But if you flip it on the other side, people, many clubs are also looking at these types of players. He got ahead of them to buy these players, and he was not afraid to splash the money. You know, so if we're in these transfer sagas, like, well, the Isaacs coming up in the summer, are we going to be afraid to splash the money? With this guy, it doesn't seem that way. This guy seems ruthless as a director. So the early signs are good, I think. If you look obviously into Atletico this season as well, some of the signings that some of the great players that I believe, some of the good signings that he bought him as well was Julian Alvarez from Manchester City, a brilliant signing there. Sorloth as well, who he signed, has been phenomenal for Atletico Madrid. Conor Gallagher has been phenomenal for Atletico Madrid as well. So these types of players as well, they're very sensible signings. You know, I think they're signings that not many people may expect, but when you really deep the signings, if that makes sense, you really make sense of it, you understand, you know, where they're going with it. And at the same time, they're also not afraid to get the big names as well if they really wanted to. So this what really does excite me on, you know, Berta coming in. I mentioned in my last video, I said about Luis Campos. I wanted someone with a bit who knows what they're doing, someone with a bit of experience, and this guy certainly has that experience of being a director. That's why I was not of the idea of getting these ex-players like Rosicky. I know he's got a bit at Sparta Prague, but, you know, Mertesacker, they're talking about these types of names here. We need someone who knows what they're doing. Is going to challenge Arteta as well. You know, this guy's worked with arguably one of the most egotistical managers in world football. We know the mentality of Simeone. We know this guy don't take anything, all right? So the fact that he's managed to develop a really good relationship with him gives me confidence that this ain't no yes man. I think that's the big thing that everyone's been talking about now as well, right? Is we don't need no yes man anymore at Arsenal Football Club. We need a manager. We need a director that's going to challenge the manager. So it seems that this guy can do it based on dealing with Simeone as well. So, yeah, I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on this down below. Make sure you hit the like buttons up. Subscribe to the channel if you are new as well. Get your comments in as well. I'll see you guys in my next one.